Hello everyone. There's a lot going on with the death penalty right now across the country. In Florida, serial killer Bobby Joe Long has an attorney who is arguing and challenging the state of Florida's lethal injection protocol. And in Texas, they are going to stop sharing the last words of death row inmates. And we have a few famous death row inmate quotes I'd like to give you at the end of the video. So we have a little bit to talk about on death row today. If you like this video, please subscribe. True Prison Stories, Gary York. Let's start with serial killer Bobby Joe Long. Attorney Norgard has argued in Tampa, Florida, in front of a judge that Amidate, an intravenous anesthesia that is given here in Florida, is dangerous and could be harmful to Bobby Joe Long because he has seizures, and Bobby Joe Long has suffered from seizures and a traumatic brain injury, and this could induce seizures and cause him pain and suffering. And he is asking the court to find a more humane substance, and he is asking the state to use phenobarbital instead, so that Bobby Joe Long feels no pain. And in response to this, one mother got on the news and said, "He inflicted pain upon my daughter and other victims. He is worried about pain. What about the pain that he inflicted upon the victims?" She said this is not right, and she does not want his death sentence to be extended or a stay to take place by the governor of Florida. He is set to be executed on May 23rd at 6 p.m. Now, folks, whether you believe in the death penalty or you don't believe in the death penalty, I have to go along with the victims' families in this case, because I'm sorry, I can't worry about Bobby Joe Long's pain and suffering. What he did to these victims, tortured them, raped them, and killed them. Was he worried 1 minute about the pain and suffering? Think about the mental anguish these victims went through. Think about the pain and suffering. And here's what gets me. There's people out there right now that are going to say that he should not suffer. Well, when one of their family members, I pray that this never happens to anyone who is against the death penalty. I pray that none of their family members ever get tortured, beaten, raped, killed by people like Bobby Joe Long, because let me tell you, it will change their tune, it will change their opinion quickly. It just amazes me how quickly people will change their tune when it happens to them. But anyway, that is what is happening with Bobby Joe Long, and please keep the date set, Governor, for May 23rd at 6 p.m. and let's get rid of this piece of trash who made people suffer, and his family members today from all the victims of Bobby Joe Long are still greatly suffering. And now what's happening now is resurfacing all the pain and anguish once again. Okay, that's Bobby Joe Long's story. Now, Texas is going to take away the final statements. They're going to allow the inmates a final statement, but they're not going to publicize them anymore. They're going to stop sharing the final statements of death row inmates. And as you know, Texas is at the top of the list for execution, but I guess they've decided that the last statements are private and personal, and they're not going to be shared any longer. And we have a lot of the different ideas on this subject, on whether or not they should be shared or not. Again, the killer did not worry about the rights of the victim when they murdered them. They did not care about the privacy of the victim when they murdered them. But now we're going to worry about their privacy. Once they commit a homicide or kill someone, who cares? Who cares? Their privacy is should no longer be a concern. But we have a lot of groups out there fighting for the privacy of killers. And I'm sorry, I could probably go along with you on some of these things if they were non-violent crimes, non-violent inmates, things like that. But when you commit homicide and murders as deadly as Bobby Joe Long and some of these others I'm about to read to you, your privacy is no concern for me. I'm not concerned about your privacy. That's the same with child molesters and baby rapers, pedophiles. I'm not worried about your privacy either. And, either are the inmates in prison. The inmates in prison, the majority of them don't like these killers. If they could get their hands on these killers, they would do street justice to them. The majority of the inmates in prison would do street justice to Chesters. That's a nickname they use in prison for molesters, child molesters. So, you folks on the street want to cry for the rights of these killers and child molesters, but I'm going to tell you, most of the inmates in prison don't like them any more than I do. And they'll tell you that. Well, that's my voice and opinion on the death row killers, deadly killers and serial killers. And I threw a little bit of the child molester in there too, my thoughts on that. But let's end, I'm going to use my papers for this, on a few death row inmates' last words, okay? James Jackson in Texas killed his wife and 2 stepdaughters. And his last words were not of remorse to say, I'm sorry for what I did, or dear God, dear Lord, forgive me. His last words were, quote, I'm ready to roll. Time to get this party started. Okay, let's do it. And he was executed in Texas. Let's take Thomas J. Grasco, a double murderer, executed in Oklahoma. He strangled an 87-year-old woman with Christmas tree lights, and then he moved to New York and killed an 81-year-old man in Staten Island. Real wonderful human being, right? He really cares, and he really deserves his privacy. His last words, I did not get my SpaghettiOs. I got spaghetti, and I want the press to know about this. The man is worried about SpaghettiOs. From his last statement, we see no remorse, no I'm sorry or anything. Now, I don't know what he did prior to that. I don't know if he had a pastor, priest, or church people, if he said anything to them. But those were his last words. That was the last thing he could think of before dying. Not, I'm sorry for what I did, or I'm sorry for the victims. Okay? Here's another one. Alien Warnos, if I said that correctly, from Florida. Remember the movie Monster? She was a hitchhiker who killed men. Okay? This was her last saying, or her last words. I'd just like to say, I'm sailing with the rock and I'll be back like Independence Day with Jesus, June 6th, like the movie, big mothership and all. I'll be back. Another one that's just talking about herself, claiming she'll be back. Nothing about the victims, nothing for the families of the victims. And these are the people, folks, that some people are fighting, saying they should have the right to vote. Let's talk about that for a minute. I could go along with certain people going to prison for certain crimes, possibly being able to vote again, but not serial killers, murderers who do things that I'm reading to you, to these poor people. Mostly elderly people, mostly wives, mostly daughters that they're killing, mostly women that they're killing. They're not brave enough to face a man and do these things, which that would be bad also, and that would deserve the death penalty as well. But look at the victims that they're choosing. Elderly and the women. Now the monster, now she chose men. She did choose men because she was against men who picked up prostitutes and felt they were dirty, filthy pigs. Maybe they are, but gave her no right to go around killing people. Okay, let's go with Clarence Ray Allen in California. His last words were, hookah hey. which means it's a good day to die, and it's a Western Sioux Indian term. And the only thing Clarence Ray Allen in California could say was, hookah hey, great day to die. So he did. They executed him in California, which is hard to believe. I don't know what year that was. I'm thinking 2007. George Harris from Missouri. Okay? His last words were, somebody needs to kill my trial attorney. Wow. No remorse for the victims of his murders. No, I'm sorry. Let's go kill somebody else were his last words. So if that doesn't convince you that we don't need people like him around, I don't know what will, because he threatened to kill somebody else. What about Jeffrey Matthews in Oklahoma? Executed. Last words were, I think that the governor's phone is broke. He hasn't called yet. I have to say that one is kind of funny. He was waiting for the governor's phone call for a stay of execution. It never came. So his last words were, I think the governor's phone is broke. He hadn't called yet. No remorse there either. Joking as he's going away. But maybe that was a nervous reaction. How about the bathtub slayer in Texas, Edmund Ellis? Okay, I just want everyone to know that the prosecutor and my attorney are sons of a bitches. Well, there we go, blaming the prosecutors and attorneys. You know, another one, mad at the attorneys and the prosecutor. Well, when you go out and kill somebody, the prosecutors are going to come after you. The sheriff is going to come after you. The police is going to come after you. We're here to protect society. You know, we're here to get you, and we will get you. You kill somebody, we will find you, and we will get you. And that's our job. So you can call us sons of a bitches or whatever you want to call us. Folks, there's just some crimes that True Prison Stories cannot deal with. And these crimes of murder, child molesting, rape, torture, I have no mercy for them. So I just needed to get that out there today, since death row has been a hot topic this month. Now, there are crimes that I will say right on YouTube that, you know, we need to lighten up on some crimes. You know, marijuana is against the law in many states. Yes, medical marijuana has been approved in 33 states, I believe. I believe it's 33 states now. Medical use is one thing. But when a law is the law, come on, you know. Keep it to yourself or keep it to your homes, because we can't protect you unless these laws are changed on marijuana. But, you know, marijuana laws, I can deal with you voting. If you've been convicted of marijuana, I can deal with that. Maybe some people can't. But not murder, not rape, not torture, not child molesters, child killers, things like that. You're off the book. And especially with no remorse, we don't care. And I'm sick and tired of your rights. And I'm sick and tired of your privacy, because you gave your victims no privacy. Enough ranting and raving. Gary York, True Prison Stories. Please subscribe, and thanks for watching today.